Welcome back to Breakthrough, where we talk about your business on execution, strategy, and results. And some of the things, of course, we get into is going to be driving revenue for your business. And the way that you can do that is through a thing called upselling. And a lot of people kind of look at upselling as, I don't really want to do that. I feel like I'm imposing on a guest or a customer. I just don't feel like it's the way to drive revenue. I'm going to go out and work harder and try to increase my revenue through new acquisition. That is the worst thing you can do as a business owner. If you are spending dollars to try to go out and get new business when you have a core group of customers that can increase or give you incremental lift in your revenue, it will cost you 3 to 4 times that to be able to increase your revenue, almost the equal amount with just a good strategy for upselling. So we're going to go right into it, what I call my master class for upselling. And there's 3 bullet points here, the 3 strategies that we'll talk about today, and that is understand when to offer. So everybody thinks, oh, I should just offer upselling or offer this new product or this new widget as soon as it's available, or maybe as soon as I get a customer. You have to be able to understand exactly when the perfect time is to introduce an offer like that. The other thing is how to be relevant with and to the offer. Being able to really get inside the minds of your customers, your guests, your business partners. You've got to be able to understand what value is to them and how to be able to be relevant when you get into that. And then the other, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, is leading with insights or expertise, in some cases thought leadership. And that's where you really break down the barriers to upselling, and your percentage of success will rise dramatically in executing when you talk about thought leadership and expertise levels. So let's get right into it and talk about understanding when to make the offer. It's not always an opportunity for an in-person offer. So in some cases, what I mean by that is you might start the upselling process strategically. It's like playing chess. You're literally putting out pawns, setting pieces on the table slowly, and prepping a client or a guest to get to the point of an upsell. Let's kind of walk through a restaurant experience and why an upsell would work in this approach. So guest comes in, they've sat down, maybe they're a frequent guest with you, okay, and you know that they drink bourbon, all right? No problem, you're the waiter, you've got a new bourbon that is coming in, and this is a product that is 20% higher. It's a great ticket increase or an incremental sales increase, but you've got a discerning bourbon drinker that maybe goes with something like a Buffalo Trace or maybe a Yamazaki, something that is kind of exotic, but they're not necessarily taking it to the next level. All right, so how do you approach a seasoned person in their business, because this works in both business and in a guest scenario like this, where you can actually upsell them. So you're not going to be able to go to the table and just say, hey, listen, by the way, we're now offering this amazing new Kentucky bourbon, and no problem, for an extra $3, you get that bourbon over the bourbon that you normally drink. So the first thing and mistake I just made was that I assumed that that guest was willing to give up something for another thing that I don't even know. They're discerning. So what you've got to do is try to help them become the master of their thought and think they made the decision. So the way that you do that is you present the product without ever offering it as an upsell. You don't even give it to them. So, hey, here's your Buffalo Trace, your normal great bourbon. What else are you having tonight? By the way, you know, we have this new bourbon that we just got in, and our bartender's been raving about it. I'd love to give you a sample, all right? So I haven't asked for an upsell. I haven't done anything to impose on their comfort zone. I've just offered knowledge, expertise, and a taste. And that right there is the first step in moving the chess pieces to the next level. The next thing you've got to do is subliminally, you've got to create these visual aids. Visual aids are there to create interest. So if let's go back to the restaurant operation. You've got a menu that needs a visual aid of that bourbon. So I need the brand name and some of the key notes or tasting elements that come out of that bourbon and why it's worth an extra 20, 25% on the drink of using that bourbon. So again, visual aids is supporting something that I've done, which is simply planting a seed, and it rolls right into this last point, which is making it their idea with guided product placement and messaging. So that's what I've done. I've created a guided funnel almost for that guest to make a decision. This works with any kind of business you have. It doesn't matter if you're a restaurant business, if you're a car dealer, it doesn't matter. The whole idea of guiding a decision is neuroscience behavior. And the idea is helping a guest or a customer feel like they made the decision for themselves, not you making it for them, or forcing it to them if you're trying to do a presentation or a high pressure sale. That's the worst thing you can do in being able to upsell. So again, understanding when to make the offer. When you've gone through all of these steps, now you're ready to make an offer. That's the next stage in being able to move your upselling to the next level. So again, making the offer at the right time, never going in and asking for it first, always showing that you are performing or giving them some expertise level for free, or maybe even some product sampling if you can do that, that helps enable them to make that decision. But remember, in the background, you're delivering visual cues all along. And that's driving that mental subliminal connection to the upsell product, which makes a huge difference in your bottom line. All right, so let's jump to strategy number 2 in my masterclass, and that is be relevant. So this is another big error that a lot of people make. Like Cooper's Hawk, what they are doing is they're being relevant to the product they have. As a lifestyle brand, they're circling everything around wine. And believe me, Cooper's Hawk is going to be moving to another product line and another product line, all centered off of wine. And being relevant to their guests through wine was the key step. So connect to basically at the right time or the right place. So what they're doing is they're being relevant in the sense of being able to offer something to that guest at the time in which they need it. You guys all know this happens today out there online. You're going and searching for a new pair of Nikes and something like that. You purchased them yesterday from the Nike store, and the Nike ad is continuing to follow you. It just follows you around the internet, which I can't understand why Google can't get that right. It just doesn't make any sense. Once I've purchased something, why would I want to buy it again? That's another episode. But the point is that it's no longer relevant. It's no longer relevant because I've already purchased the upsell or the product. The same thing happens here. If you're not relevant at the right time, at the right place, you lose the opportunity for an upsell. And you have to go back in and start reworking the trust game all over again, putting more chess pieces in place to get back to this point of being relevant to your customer. So visual is one of the most compelling aspects of a brand that separates from a business. So this is where visual aids really become a factor. But again, they have to be relevant to what you're trying to do. So if you have a business that's doing, let's just say a hotel, and maybe you have a spa that's associated with the hotel. Being relevant, you're already there and relevant, but the ability to get that visual aid to that spa that's happening, you've got to be able to drop those cues in a variety of different places to start to create that, basically that neuroscience behavior in consumer purchasing and being able to deliver on that at the relevant time that they're ready for upgrading or upselling to a spa, experience. So make sure that you're translating the visual in all aspects of your brand. So you've got to be able to connect those dots. And what I mean by that is making sure that whatever you're doing from a graphic standpoint or from a point of purchase, POP standpoint, that it's all translating with your brand. It has brand consistency, and it's aligned with your upsell strategy. In other words, what kind of product or component or service are you upselling to? And then the last thing is dropping the breadcrumbs. And this becomes and you'll be surprised, this is where I see a lot of restaurants and businesses break down their entire upselling process. They go through all the process of creating a great POP, they go through all the process of developing a strategy, but they don't drop the breadcrumbs throughout the customer journey. The customer journey is every commitment that they have to your business, the first connection, the recurrence on frequency, something that they've done like sign up for an email. All those little elements that happen during that journey are the breadcrumbs that help you enable your business to go to the upsell. The beauty behind being relevant and hitting them at the right time at the right place is that once they upsell, once you get them to the point where they buy up, now your percentage of closing an upsell at the next level is increased exponentially, because now you've developed trust, you've created that path and that customer journey that works along with what you're trying to do from a brand standpoint, and you've delivered the product. Now, granted, you have to make sure that what you deliver is on cue and perfect every time. If you screw up, then you're going to lose that upsell and possibly lose a customer. But that's just like any other aspect of your business. This is an opportunity. This is where people double down on greatness. That's something that very few businesses do. Once you're good, you got to double down on greatness, meaning show your quality, show your service level, and just extend it to the next level. And you will make customers for life. And upselling will be automatic. They may start asking you for, what else can I buy? What else can you do? That's when you know that you've created the perfect relevancy to what you're trying to do from an upsell standpoint. All right. Last but not least, and that is lead with thought leadership. And we talked about this early, about how Cooper's Hawk had done that with their SOM and their education programs. They've basically re-engineered the entire wine club industry, 500,000 people out there with this thing. This is a great approach to really being able to enable your upselling strategy to work. So this is usually where you fall. So you need to get your thought leadership game down. And what I mean by that is typically some restaurants and businesses, they don't necessarily think that they're thought leaders because they do this every day. They work in this particular area every day. It is not something that they think they're an expert in. What you don't realize is that you are an expert in what you're doing. So become that thought leader and really kind of jump it up, but make sure that you get your angle down first, meaning what is it that you are an expert or a thought leader in, really hone in on the topics or the category and be able to just hit home runs with that in terms of being able to add value to your customer. And then always, we talked about this earlier, always offer a taste or even a perceived upgrade. So maybe that you haven't maybe the upsell percent, you're not in the right place, you're not at the relevancy point yet, so you need to start laying that groundwork. This is where perceived value increase can really help you. And what I mean by that is you're not giving away something that costs you a small amount, because those are very transparent. People can look right through those and say, you know, it's like when you go to a restaurant and they offer a limoncello. I hate that approach because I know how low cost of a product that is, and it's almost a waste of time and effort, and in essence damages your ability to upsell. So if you are going to give something, whether it's a taste, give something that is a perceived value increase to be able to earn that trust, which happens through thought leadership. And then also think beyond the upsell. This is where you have to understand the overall value of what the guest or your customer is looking for. This is very important. This is where you look into the mind of the customer and you're trying to figure out with them, you need to do your homework. So whether you're a service-based business, a product-based business, understand your customer before you start to go to the next level. Once you understand your customer, you add a little thought leadership to that, boom, you are off to the next level on being able to upsell, increase your incremental revenue on an ongoing basis. And then the last but not least, follow up even if you don't upsell. So a lot of people kind of, well, they didn't get this or they didn't buy that, and I just move on to the next one. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, there's pundits out there. If you look at someone like in the real estate with Grant Cardone, he believes the lead funnel is the golden ticket to success. Not necessarily do I believe that. I think lead funnels are great because it gives you a lot more opportunities to sell more product, just like more guests and more customers. But the best opportunity in most businesses that are offering services or products is that you are going to be able to start to create that core group. So following up with that core group, even though you didn't get the upsell the first time, is very important to be able to create that connection that in some cases can last a lifetime. And that's where the value of your guest, your customer, is in every business I've ever looked at or ever helped is super undervalued. Every business I've gone to say, what is the value of your guest, your customer? Let's just tell me. Tell me what you think the value of one customer is for your restaurant. And most of the time, they're giving me a valuation of a transaction, not a valuation of, if they're really good, they give me a valuation of a year. And I'm like, this should be the valuation of a lifetime. Your opportunity to create a lifetime customer, or at least a customer that's going to be with you for multiple years, is infinite when you follow these strategies of being able to create and develop an upsell program within your business.